Welcome back to Double Down University. I'm back at you guys with another World Cup soccer video for today, the semifinal matchup between France and Morocco. I kind of just have two picks today. Today, this board is really trash to me. It's not too many options, a lot of push potential on this board, but two plays that really stuck out to me. My first one is Olivier Giroud and Antoine Griezmann over 1.5 shots on target combined, and Salim Amala over 1.5 tackles. So let's get into it. So basically, France, they will line up in a 4-2-3-1. So they have a back four, and then they'll have two kind of holding midfielders, and they'll have a trio in the midfield with Dembele, Griezmann, and Mbappe with Giroud up top. And then one of my favorite teams, Morocco, in this tournament, they will play a 4-3-3 with three midfielders, three up top, but they kind of sit in kind of a low block where they'll have kind of Ziyech and Boufal. They'll kind of drop back a little bit to kind of create like a low block and kind of force teams to kind of play out wide. And the reason being is so that they close off all the inside passing lanes and stuff. So they kind of are good at controlling the middle. And if you watch them play against Spain, they kind of basically just sat back and Spain just basically passed the ball up and down this left hand side, and they couldn't get any real penetration because Spain lack aerial threats and people that can score when given the opportunity to. But they're going up against a monster in France who has Olivier Giroud, who's great aerially. And they also have Kylian Mbappe, and then they have Griezmann and Dembele providing good service into the box. But the thing I think is a wild card too is Rabiot's status for this game. I've read an article that he wasn't seen this morning during breakfast, so be on the lookout to see if he's a DMP for today. If he is, I'm pretty sure Camavinga will probably be starting in his place, but I think they're pretty much keep the same starting unit. Not too many changes in their squad. The same with Morocco. The only change with Morocco is that left back because they're missing. What's his name? Let's see if they show he's missing. Here he is. The Mazzarari. They're missing their left back, and also Aguerd is doubtful. So be on the lookout for those. And then they also are missing another center back as doubtful is Roman Saiz. So they could have two different center backs, which should be huge. Especially for them. They've been like the linchpin of their back four. Those two, Aguerd and Saiz. So they may have this guy in number 18 in for him for Roman Saiz. So just be on the lookout for those two changes, Rabiot and Saiz, to see if they make the lineup. But pretty sure, they're going to try all they can to try to play in this matchup because you never know when you're going to get back to this stage in the tournament again. So most of them probably play on one leg at this point. But all right, so let's get into it. So Salim Alama. So with him, they recently had his tackles at 2, but they just bumped it down to 1.5, which I see why they bumped it down to 1.5 because he's gotten at least a tackle in every game. But I'm banking on that he will get 2 tackles in this matchup, especially against France, because I kind of take with a grain of salt what he did against a lot of these sides like Canada and Portugal. Because a lot of those teams they don't have dominant midfields, but Spain has so much power in the midfield that he should be able to get those 2 tackles. Now at 2, I like the under, but since they bumped it down, I feel like there's value in that to take the over on him. Moving on to the Griezmann and the Giroud pick. So in the Griezmann and Giroud pick, it's just plain and simple. I just previously stated that they like to sit back in kind of like a low block, like where they have 4 defenders in the first line, and then their back 4, so they kind of eat up all the space in between the lines and kind of make you kind of play out wide, where they can force you to have wider angles to the goal. And if we look at the World Cup stats for Griezmann, he has had a shot on target in 3 out of the 5 matchups that he's played in. So he's had 1 against Poland, one against Denmark, one against Australia. And then if we go and take a look at his running mate, Mr. Olivier Giroud, in this tournament, he's had three shots on goal against England, one shots on goal against Poland, and then two shots on goal against Australia. So I think this is very doable. I think Giroud could probably hit this by himself, but then you also have the help of Griezmann, who also takes free kicks and stuff for France, so he can also get them over the top, especially if they get a foul outside of the 18-yard box where, Griezmann will take that free kick. He might choose to go for goal and try to, get a shot on target, which, shouldn't be too hard. He doesn't have to, and the beauty of it, they both don't have to score. They just have to get a shot on target. Now, let's moving into some fringe plays that I've seen that, didn't really make the list for me is I really like Ambarat, his tackles again. He was on that last time. I think he was on the under last time they played, but they eventually moved it down to 2.5 because it was three, but they bumped it down to 2.5 before the game, the last matchup, and he covered that line and he pushed with three tackles last matchup. So I really like him. He's the heart and soul of their team, and kind of I'll show you guys a visual of basically his role in this team. So basically his role in this team is to guard this area right here, this little square that he's in, and then also in front of the goal. So pretty much like when they revert back to a back four, so in real time there'll probably be the back four be along the 18-yard box or whatever. Kind of sometimes they'll be inside the box depending on the attack and runs, but his goal is to guard this area right here, the top of the box, in this area where the most dangerous part of the field for shots to go up is this middle part of the field, and that'd be his role is to kind of play like a sweeper role where he kind of gets everything before it gets to the back line, and also come in and tackle and stuff like that. And he's going up against the likes of Griezmann, Dembele, Mbappe, guys of those nature that are fast, that probably would beat him in a race. So his only option would be pretty much to tackle those guys. So I think he's a shoe in for close to three tackles as well. Next, this is a sneaky pick. I really like this one. I was on Julian Alvarez. I took him after I recorded and everything, but I just felt it was a solid play and used him as a wild card in a 5 pick. And I used Julian Alvarez over one tackle in the game yesterday against with Argentina, and he ended up getting that one tackle. And a lot of times you'll see this. I know he's a striker, Youssef in this series. He's a striker, so a lot of people don't think that strikers get tackles. But in their system, I like him. And as you can see, he's hit this line in 3 out of the last 5 games that they played in the tournament. And kind of his role is basically they're not a big press team. Morocco. So what they would try to do is he would try to pressure just anybody that comes back to the ball to kind of receive service for these back two with Varane and Campo. So he would kind of play in that role where he'd kind of come back in and kind of just block the passing lane to those guys and make it tougher and kind of force these two guys to kind of bring the ball up themselves and try to force them into a mistake. So I really like him to at least try to get a tackle there. Let's look at his minutes. So his minutes, he pretty much plays majority of the season. So he plays about 78 minutes a game. So you don't have to worry about him getting an early sub or anything because they really don't have any substitute striker that's impactful outside of him. And then especially this is, they're going for it. This is a must-win, do-or-die game. So I think, he should be on the pitch for majority of the game. And as you can see, his tackles per game is 0.6. So he is close to 1. If you round up, it's close to 1. But I really like him there as well. And then majority of the game, they're going to be sitting back defending anyway. So, he's going to have more chances to get it as opposed to if they were a team that would be on the front foot and trying to look to attack all the time. So I think there's opportunity for him there. Another one I looked at too was Osman Dembele. I like his tackles as well. He's had push potential in pretty much all of his matches in the World Cup so far. So out of his 5 games, he's had 3 tackles in one game against England, last matchup. He's had one tackle against Poland, one tackle against Tanzania, two tackles against Denmark, and one tackle against Australia. So he has that push potential, and then he has also upside of going over, as he's had two against Denmark and three against England. So I really like that for him as well. Another two I was looking at, and they're kind of fringe plays too for me because you just never know with possession. It's kind of like a toss up as far as passes attempted. So this guy Ambarat, like as we talked about with his tackles, has a 71% hit rate in this tournament for going over 39 and a half passes. He's also had a 100% hit rate home and away. And then, so France, they allow 341 passes compared to Morocco's 240 passes. And then they also have a cover. So if you dig a little deeper in France, so let's look into France. So opposing pass line versus them. So as you can see, defenders, they're 3 for 3. And then midfielders, they're 2 out of 5. But the only midfielders I really kind of want to look at is the holding midfielders, because a lot of these guys play different roles, these midfielders. So like Jude, he's not a holding midfielder. He's more of a box-to-box midfielder, meaning like he can attack and he can defend a little bit. Aaron Moy, so he's more of a holding midfielder for Australia, and his line was 45 and a half, and he had ended up with 66 passes. Jackson Irvine, not too much of a holding midfielder, so he kind of throw him out the window. Let's see, any more attacking. So pretty much Moy is the only one I can find comparable to him, which he soared over that line at 66 passes. So, and a lot of Amarat, a lot of his passes will have to be from like one possession off of tackles, or just trying to start the counter attack, after getting a loose ball and stuff like that. So I really like him, and then we can dig a little deeper and kind of look into him. Let's see, passes attempted. So let's look into him, and he starts 93 minutes a game, so he should be on the pitch for a while. Let's look at passes attempted. So far in this tournament, against Croatia, he had 45 passes. Against Belgium, he had 41. And then against Canada, he's had 46. Now, the last two games again in the round of 16 and then the quarterfinal, he's had 32 and 21. So those are my risk of caution with him. But as I said, France allow way more passes um, than Morocco. So, and then another candidate too for passes could be Hakimi's passes. He's hit this number in 3 out of 5 matchups as well. He's only missed in the quarterfinals. Last matchup against Portugal, he had 37, so he barely missed it. Let me see where his line is set for passes attempted. So for passes attempted, his line was set at 39 and a half, 38 and a half. So he has to get to 39. So he's not far off. He's about 2 passes off here and then 1 pass off here. So I really like him. I actually would prefer him more so than Ambarat, and just do what Ambarat does well, which is tackles. But you can also hedge him with passes as well. So yeah, so those are my plays for today. A lot of those last couple ones were fringe plays, but the really ones that I really want to target is Alama, his tackles, and Claude Giroux. Not Claude Giroux, Olivier Giroux and Griezmann over 1.5 shots on target. So I appreciate you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you guys are going with and some of you guys' picks for today. And I appreciate you guys. Best of luck and let's cash, boys.